Hi everyone, I'm Maria McLachlan. The first thing I want to say is that it was lovely to meet some of you yesterday at the prison protest in London. Thank you for saying hello to me. I really like it when people do that. What a fantastic event it was. Amazing speeches. Very well done to the organisers. I hope the video will be uploaded to YouTube and I will publicise it when it is. And well done to Kelly J and the brave women of Nottingham today who turned up to speak up for women's rights and found themselves having to deal with the local chapter of Trans Fascists Are Us, who tried to stop them doing so. The whole thing was captured on video and you'll find that on the Standing for Women YouTube channel. Right, somebody suggested I check out Blaque, so I did. I looked at his extensive collection of videos and the one that jumped out at me as one I'd like to take a closer look at is actually really old, but the argument interests me. It's entitled Why Rachel Dolezal Isn't Caitlyn Jenner. So let's jump in.
There are a lot of people conflating Caitlyn's story with Rachel's story. They're saying that if Caitlyn can transition into a woman, then why can't Rachel transition into a black woman? Well, as a black woman who happens to be trans, I felt that I could help demystify the confusion and tell you why Rachel's story and Caitlyn's story are not at all the same.
Okay, first of all, note the framing, which is the kind that gets this utterly ludicrous idea that men can be women and vice versa normalised. Kat doesn't even say as a black trans woman, he says as a black woman who happens to be trans. It just happens to be so. Just like I'm a white woman who happens to have brown eyes, an unimportant detail. It's not as if the fact that he's a man who claims to be a woman is going to affect his objectivity at all, is it? No, of course not.
A popular defense of Rachel Dolezal is that race is a social construct in the same way that gender is a social construct. So why is her story any different from Caitlyn's? Race and gender are absolutely social constructs. The difference is that gender is not a biological trait passed from parent to child, whereas race is.
And this is the point at which it would have been helpful to know Kat's definition or hear him give an explanation of what exactly he means by gender. He doesn't do that, so I will assume that he feels he has some internal feminine essence that justifies calling himself a woman.
If I turned to you tomorrow and said that I was white, would you believe me?
No, of course I wouldn't. Nor do I believe this guy, or this guy, or this guy, or this guy when they say they are women, or this woman when she says that she's a man. What's your point?
See, this idea of transitioning into a race is something that's only available to certain people. Rachel Dolezal got a tan and a perm and apparently was able to fool people for about a decade.
And you take hormones regularly and intend to fool people for even longer. Again, what's your point? Kat seems to be saying that if you are limited through no fault of your own to only being able to make temporary changes to your appearance, for example, you can have your hair permed, but it will grow out straight, so you have to perm it again and again. You can get a fake tan by a sun lamp or by applying a tanning cream, but your skin will slough off dead cells, so you have to keep doing it. So because you can't do something permanent and irreversible to your body to make it how you would like it to be, you have no right to claim to be what you're not. But if Dolezal were able, through medical means, to make her skin permanently brown, to change her features to look more naturally, as if she has a more recent African ancestry than we Europeans do, don't you think she would have done it? I do. I watched the documentary about her called The Rachel Divide, and she really, really wishes she were black.
The difference is that while my gender has changed, my race will always remain the same.
His gender has changed. Okay, so at least he isn't claiming that he was always a woman or girl. I did look at one other video of Kat called So You Disagree With My Gender, in the hope of finding out how he defines it, but he didn't explain it there either. In that video, Kat says that he was quite often mistaken for a girl when he was a child, and he objected to it, which suggests that he was quite a feminine little boy, but he knew he was a boy and he was okay with being one. Only in his teens did he start to like being mistaken for a girl. Doesn't that tell us that it's wrong to have expectations of children's behaviour according to their sex, and even more wrong to try to impose those expectations on children so that they feel they are in the wrong if they don't meet them? Just a thought.
She can go home and wash off her self-tanner and wash out her perm, but I can't wash off my gender, and that's something that isn't defined by my makeup.
Well, nor is Dolezal's claimed race defined by makeup, and Kat can of course detransition, even though he wouldn't get his body back as it was originally. I've read a whole book full of accounts of men who've had irreversible genital surgery, but they've still gone back to presenting and living as men. But if you're a man and you take estrogen, grow breasts and lose your facial hair, or if you're a woman and you take testosterone, you ruin your voice, you go bald and grow a beard, and if you have surgery to remove or change your healthy body parts, then somehow that means you have the right to claim to be the other sex and demand acceptance as such by everyone. I know Kat uses the term gender, but he hasn't defined it, and I've noticed he conflates it with sex when it suits him to do so. Out of all the trans-identifying men I've seen and heard on video, Kat passes as a woman better than many. I believe him when he says he is perceived as female by strangers, and that's when he conveniently forgets all about so-called gender. He pretends to be the sex that he isn't, and he goes into the ladies' room. So far, I'm not impressed by Kat's reasoning. So what else you got, Kat?
She lied about who she is, and she's continuing to lie about who she is. As a trans woman, I don't like being compared to someone who's a liar. I am not being dishonest by being who I am today. Who I am today is the most truthful incarnation of myself.
Well, no, it's not truthful, because you are presenting as female when you are male, and you are letting people believe you are female. That's not truthful. What I think you mean is that the external appearance, the face and the body you have now, and the lifestyle you lead in which people accept you as a woman has made you happy. Still doesn't mean that you're a woman. But yes, Dolezal lied, and her audacity blew my mind. She falsely claimed that her father was black, and not only that, but she pinpointed a specific man and claimed he was her dad, even while both her white parents were still alive. And she lied about a whole bunch of other stuff as well. She wasn't the first person I'd ever heard of who'd lied about her heritage. People probably do that all the time. I mean, people lie about all kinds of really quite important things all the time. They lie about their family backgrounds, about their education, their work experience, their life experience. Dolezal told huge lies and took huge advantage of her deception. But Kat is a man who claims to be a woman. Why shouldn't that be seen as big a lie as the ones told by Dolezal? Kat's reasoning seems to be that because he is open about the fact that he was born male, but a woman is who he is now, it takes not only honesty but great courage to be his authentic self. So I see two possibilities here. One is that Kat genuinely and sincerely doesn't agree that the word woman means adult human female. He thinks it has some other definition that allows him in all truthfulness, as far as he is concerned, to claim that he is indeed a woman. Unfortunately, he doesn't, in either of the two videos of his that I've seen, give his definition of the word woman, and I would wager that he can't give a definition that is meaningful, coherent, and non-circular. The other possibility is that he knows damn well he isn't a woman, and his claim to be one is cynically taking advantage of the current climate and the over-willingness of some people to be kind to men like him while disregarding the feelings of women like me.
Transitioning took honesty. Transitioning took accepting myself for who I was and not continuing to be somebody that I wasn't. I am living my truth. Rachel is living a lie.
Yeah, the trouble is there is only one truth, and it is objective, which means that our personal feelings have no bearing on what is true and what isn't. Cat doesn't have his own truth any more than he has his own pronouns. That he is a woman is not the truth, but if he is going to insist that it's his truth, then for the sake of consistency and not being a total hypocrite with double standards, he really should accept that Rachel Dolezal was living her truth. Let's all have our own truths. That would be so cool. The difference between them is that she lied about how she got to where she was before she was exposed as a liar. But what choice did she have if she wanted to live her truth? If she'd said, yes, I'm white, but I was born in the wrong skin, I've always felt black and I identify as black, who would have taken her seriously? I don't think too many people would have. Yet Caitlyn Jenner, former decathlete, the decathlon of course was and mostly still is a men-only event. He's thrice married, father of 6, but he only has to declare that he's a woman, and he's given a Woman of the Year award, and he becomes a cover girl wearing, and this is such a typical trans thing, wearing something that no sane woman of the same age, 66, would wear, even with all the airbrushing and filters and whatever in the world, which obviously Jenna had.
See, transition comes with no benefits.
So why do it? I mean, surely the reason you transitioned, which actually means you took a bunch of hormones, presumably had some surgery, although I don't actually know, changed your name and got a new wardrobe, was because you were unhappy living with your sexed body and perhaps the expectations placed on you as a man. If through transitioning you have found happiness or at least peace with yourself, then surely that's a benefit.
My transition has thrown me off of the course of what I wanted to do with my life. I've had to give up so many dreams to simply be myself. I could be so much further in my career had I decided to not transition.
Okay, we can only take Kat's word for this. He made this video back in 2015 when he was about 24 years old. From an interview he gave to advocate.com in 2017, we learned that Blaque had big plans to attend the California Institute of Arts and become an animator. It was a goal he eventually achieved, but by then, becoming a vlogger had changed his life and his goals. Sounds like it all worked out quite well for you, Kat. You know, a lot of people are unhappy with their lot in life, and there are many things we can't change. We have to learn to live with them. We can't identify out of them.
Trans people are still fighting to use the restroom.
You mean the wrong restroom, the one intended for the other sex?
Rachel Dolezal is a white woman who just one day decided she was going to be black because she had an affinity for black culture. I never decided to be a trans woman. That's simply a statement of the reality of my life.
Typical bloke who thinks he can speak for a woman. How about this? Rachel Dolezal decided to present as black because she thought that would be her path to happiness and fulfillment, and you decided to present as a woman for the same reason.
Being able to decide that one day you're just going to be black just reeks privilege to me.
As does you, a man, being able to assert that you're a woman, reek privilege to me.
Presenting herself as a black woman came with benefits, especially because she was perceived as a black woman with light skin.
That may be true, but I'm not sure that she got more benefits by claiming to be black than if she hadn't. As I understand it, she came from quite a well-to-do background. She could presumably have had a successful academic or professional career like her older brother did without claiming to be black. She could, as Kat points out, have worked for the black community for which she had such an affinity as a white woman. What she got by being deceitful was validation, admiration, and a certain amount of power as a black activist, the like of which many trans-identifying men crave as women, and which many get, including the likes of, Cat Blaque and Caitlyn Jenner.
She was paid money to teach classes and give speeches about what a black woman's experience is in America.
Which is atrocious, absolutely indefensible. Gosh, you must feel about that like so many of us feel about the fact that a man lied to get the job as CEO of Edinburgh Rape Crisis Centre, a job that was supposedly reserved for a woman for what I hope are obvious reasons. Now, imagine how it would feel if, in spite of being unmasked, Dolezal had been allowed to keep her job as instructor in Africana Studies at Eastern Washington University, if she'd been able to keep her position as president of a local NAACP chapter. Imagine if she'd gone on to call black people who'd suffered racially motivated violence bigots for expressing fear of white people. It's inconceivable, isn't it? How do you imagine that we real women feel about this man declaring he wants to educate female rape victims? Are you capable of imagining it? I doubt it. Finally,
there is absolutely no parallel between Caitlyn's story and Rachel's story. One is a story about deception, where even when faced with the truth, the person in question boldly denies it. The other is a story about coming to terms with the truth, and being able to love and embrace yourself enough to live honestly and be honest with the people around you.
Nah, the difference between these two stories is that Dolezal had to lie in order to be accepted as what she sincerely wished she was, what she really wanted to be, whereas Jenner didn't. He could be quite open about the fact that he had lived for decades with all the privilege that comes from being a successful, white, heterosexual American man, and then he just had to declare that he was a woman, and he gets applauded and rewarded. Early in this video, I expressed some skepticism about whether Kat would be able to be objective in considering the difference between claiming to be of a different ethnicity and claiming to be the other sex. I think he has proven beyond reasonable doubt that he is totally incapable of being so, and I'm not surprised, and I don't blame him. I do blame him for the fact that he, like most trans-identifying people, expect other people to try to empathise and understand his position while point blank refusing to afford the same courtesy to anyone else. That's all. Thanks for watching. Bye.